Hello, you are watching West Bloomfield 911. I am Officer Rick, and on behalf of Chief Mike Patton and the men and women of the West Bloomfield Police Department, once again, welcome to the show. Before we go into the Corner Spotlight, a segment that I like and I hope that you like as well, I'm going to introduce our guest, familiar face, a friend, kind of a blast from the past. Tara Kane. How are you, Tara?
I'm doing good, Rick. How are you?
Welcome to the show again.
Thank you.
This time as a guest and not as a co-host.
Yes.
Well, before we talk, we're going to do a Corner Spotlight. You kind of remember the routine.
That's right.
So, folks, on your screen, you're going to notice Officer Derek Case, Police Officer Derek Case. And Derek is currently assigned to the road patrol. He's one of our young guys. And when guys like Derek, we know we're in good hands when the old guys like me retire. Derek hired originally as a cadet in December of 2007. And then he was promoted to police officer in 2008. So he's been here for 5 years. And we want to thank Derek for his duty to West Bloomfield and his service. And like I said, we're proud to have a young guy that we're in good hands with. Derek's favorite food, is a lot of people, is pizza. And his favorite book, The Power of One by Bryce Courtney, which was published in 1989. And I've got to be honest with you, I have not read that, even though I have heard of that book. His favorite movie, you know what, Derek, you and I could watch this one together for a long time. Gladiator, the 2000 epic starring Russell Crowe and Joaquin Phoenix. I enjoyed that one as well. Very, very good movie. His favorite music, good old-fashioned rock and roll. Okay, Derek, we're going to go out together. We'll turn on Gladiator. When that's over, we're going to turn on some rock and roll. His accomplishments and hobbies, Derek has his Bachelor of Science degree from Wayne State with a major in criminal justice. He's very proud of that, and rightly so. And recently, he was made a field training officer. He's also a part of our special response team. And even more importantly, he was recently engaged. So congratulations to the new couple. And I hope you have a long and happy life together. And, you know, one thing about being married, it's good to get away. And when he does that, he likes to play softball. So good luck with the marriage there, Derek. When asked about his favorite quote, he picked from the good book, the book of Proverbs, chapter 28, verse 1, "The wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are bold as a lion." And Derek, that's a great quote. And you know what? Can't pick a better source to quote from. Derek, we'll see you back at the barn. Thanks for all you do, and I hope you have a long and happy career in West Bloomfield and get to be an old man like me one day. So let's turn the Corner Spotlight off. And folks, today we're going to talk about some would-be robbers. And these guys are, we call this the dumb criminal. These guys really are, I hate to say it. And they're not from Michigan, so they're in Chicago. Let them stay there. A pair of would-be Chicago restaurant robbers proved that not every crime has a master plan, and these guys certainly did not. Chicago police and prosecutors say that Mario Garcia, age 39, and Domingo Garcia Hernandez went to West Rogers Park, went to a restaurant there demanding food and telling the owner, "I will kill you, I have a gun." And according to CBS in Chicago, the the restaurant owner, concerned with his customer safety, told the man he was too busy to bother with them at that time, come back later. And they did. They showed up a second time after midnight, and they told the owner again that he needed to give them some money. And he said, "You know what? Let me go get my wife's checkbook." I like that. Blame it on the wife. Go get my wife's checkbook. Bought him enough time to call the police. The men were charged with one count of aggravated robbery and using a replica firearm. So again, these guys are not the brightest crayons in the box, and we're glad that they aren't. That makes our job a lot easier. So these guys are due in court, and hopefully you guys have a long, happy career in prison. Let's go back to something a little more delightful, and instead of these bad guys that don't know what they're doing. And folks, remember, we're going to be right back with an old friend, someone that you're used to seeing on West Bloomfield 911, sitting next to me rather than across from me, Miss Tara Kane, now from Madonna University. Come on back.
You're watching West Bloomfield 911 on Civic Center TV, a service of the Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission. For more information or to watch episodes on demand, visit civiccentertv.com/WB911. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
The West Bloomfield Police Foundation raises money to help those who protect and serve the community. Whether it's emotional or financial support, the foundation provides a helping hand to officers, their families, and those in the community. For more information on the West Bloomfield Police Foundation, contact Kurt Lawson at 248-975-8900 or visit wbpolicefoundation.org.
We are back, and hope you got whatever you needed to sit through the rest of the show and enjoy yourself. And once again, I'd like to reintroduce Tara Kane, but this time not of the West Bloomfield Police Department, but the chairperson of the Criminal Justice Program at Madonna University. Tara, welcome back.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm glad to have you. And you know what? We talked about this before you left, and you know, some of the people may not be aware that you had left the department, kind of an early retirement.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, let's talk a little bit about your career here in West Bloomfield, because that really prepared you for your current career.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, what year did you hire in?
1996. May 6th, 1996, as a cadet.
Okay.
And I was a cadet for approximately 15 months. Went to the police academy in September of 97. And was, you know, patrol officer, and worked all 3 shifts, got to work undercover. I was in the detective bureau prior to getting promoted. I got promoted to sergeant in December of 2006. And from there I went back to the road for a little while, midnights, and then I went back into the Detective Bureau again, November of 2007, and then that's where I did the last, was it 5 years, I think? 5.5, 6? 5.5 years, I think. So, yeah.
And all the time that you were here, and of course you were assigned to the Youth Bureau for a while, and then they had some consolidation, and you were just then became the sergeant of the Detective Bureau overall.
Right.
And I was fortunate to work with you for the last several years there.
You don't have to say that anymore. No, that's very nice of you to say. You're right, you're right.
You want your 20 bucks back?
Well, you know, I mean, to say, yes, I was in the Detective Bureau all those years, that really doesn't, I guess, speak to everything we did, because, you know, we wear a lot of hats. Everyone within the police department wears a lot of hats. And yes, I was in the Detective Bureau as a sergeant. I loved it. I loved doing all the youth stuff. But I really enjoyed the community partnership, prevention work that I got to do as well with some of the different organizations within the township. So the school district, you know, you still teach team, just all those community relationships. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a lot of fun.
Gave you a chance to test the waters in a variety of ways rather than just investigations, which is certainly very important.
Right.
But while you were going to these different avenues in the police department as road patrol and sergeant and DB, you also were going to school. So you went to your current employer.
Yes, I did go to Madonna.
Received your bachelor's degree from there, correct?
I received a bachelor's degree from Madonna University, yes.
Was that in CJ?
Yes. So when I got hired with West Bloomfield, I had an associate degree, and I actually was
Where'd you get that from, I ask?
Schoolcraft.
Okay.
And you know, it's kind of funny. I went to Schoolcraft right out of high school. Then I actually went to Madonna, and I started in the paralegal program, and I did that for 3 semesters, and then it was a lot of money, the difference of university versus, you know, community college.
I went there as well, so I'm aware of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I went back, and I finished my associate degree, and then I decided, you know, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do when I grew up, right? I was working for the Marriott hotel chain in Livonia, and I worked there for 9 years while I was going to school part-time, and it was a great employer. And I contemplated hospitality management for a while, but like police work, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, holidays, and I just didn't, it wasn't my heart, you know?
Right.
So I made the decision I was going to put myself through the police academy. I went back to Schoolcraft.
So you went pre-service?
Well, I was going to.
Oh.
That was my plan. I was all ready to go pre-service, and I mean, to this day, I'll never forget, there were a couple gentlemen in one of my criminal justice classes at Schoolcraft that worked for Farmington Hills.
Okay.
And I overheard them talking that West Bloomfield was going to hire cadets soon. And I was like, where's West Bloomfield? Because I grew up in Canton, Michigan. and going to school in Garden City at the
Both
Garden
Wayne
City
County
campus.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I'm like, where's West Bloomfield? All I knew is that they had cadets, and I thought, cadet, hopefully I get hired and sent to a police academy. So really the rest is history. We made some phone calls, applied, interviewed, and so I didn't have a bachelor's degree when I started at West
Right.
Bloomfield. Finished it up after getting hired.
Which we didn't need that. We only needed the associates,
Right,
which is what
right.
I had as well when I got
and
here.
I came in with like 90 plus credit hours, so I mean I was really on the way. It was a no-brainer to
Right.
finish, but at the same time, school's a lot of money, and I
Yes.
paid for it myself, you know.
Yes.
So I finished my bachelor's degree, and I immediately started the master's program at Madonna. They have an MBA
Yep.
over there with criminal justice leadership,
Yep.
and that was really interesting. That was it took a long time, you know, went part-time, but I did it.
Yeah.
And very happy I did. I think that having a graduate degree certainly has, you know, opened up a lot of doors for
Sure.
me. And throughout the years, I was working at the Oakland Police Academy as a range officer. I also was assisting with, you know, a lot of the hands-on practical applications with the recruits, whether
Right.
it was domestic violence, arrest procedures. And I eventually ended up in the classroom. And I was so nervous
At
Oakland Police Academy in Auburn Hills. I was so nervous. And you know what? It was the most fun I think I ever had. Like, I loved teaching.
Yes.
And I think that's when I really realized that, wow, I want to do this.
Yes.
You know, now I love being a police officer. I had no intention of leaving West Bloomfield. I definitely thought I would do, you know, 25 years,
Right.
what have you, full retirement. It's a great place to work. No complaints. Never had any complaints about everything that was, you know, every opportunity that came my way. But I got the opportunity.
And you're still connected here anyway, because your
Sure.
husband works here.
Sure. I
Yeah.
mean, my dad was a police officer.
And,
My husband's a
you had
police
it in your
officer.
blood,
I mean,
in your
it's.
family.
I have total respect for anyone who puts on a uniform, and I love the job, and it was wonderful. But I started adjuncting a couple of years ago at Madonna, and I also started training for MCOLS, the Michigan Commission
Yes.
on Law Enforcement, some sexual assault training to police officers throughout the state. And I just knew someday I wanted to do that. That was going to be my next career.
Right.
And then, you know, just things happen, and this opportunity presented itself, and I applied, and I really didn't think it was going to be a reality, but wow.
Well, you know, and we talked about that before you left. The gentleman who was in charge of the program over there, Barry Sherman, who had retired out of Livonia, and I met Barry, but he was not there when I was attending, so I didn't know him real well.
Okay.
You obviously worked for him as an instructor, and you did a good job for him, as you did for us here. He was impressed by you, and when he had to, due to unfortunate circumstances, take an early retirement, so he did that. You put in for it. You are now the boss.
Yes, I am.
And so all of those people that you were on a par with, who were adjunct professors or full-time professors, now is just like me. They have to pay you the $20 so they can say good things. But now you're the boss.
Right.
You're running the program in the criminal justice program
Yes,
there.
yes.
How is that different, being in a civilian capacity in a college? The atmosphere, the culture, everything is totally different than in law enforcement.
Right.
Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
It's been a pleasant surprise. You know, some of the nice things, there's no emergencies.
No one calling you at 2 in the morning, right?
Right, and there's just really not emergencies throughout the day.
Yes.
It's busy, it's a lot of responsibility because, as you said, not only am I teaching full-time, I am the chairperson, so I'm in charge of the department. And we actually have a rather large student body just in the criminal justice program. I mean, I have almost 400 majors that are declared in the university, which is quite, you know, it's a very respectable, you know, student body just for criminal justice. But that being said, just the administrative stuff and planning for the next semester.
Yes.
But it's different. I mean, and I miss some of the
sense of urgency.
Yes,
in a sense.
because I think that's just who I am.
Yeah.
But you know, anyone who did get to know me, either professionally because we had an encounter for whatever reason, or just became my friend and kind of knew the work I did, I think it was time to let someone else kind of learn. For those that don't know, I did a lot of child abuse investigations, and I did a lot of sexual assault investigations. And, nothing made me happier than when we found out that an allegation of abuse was maybe not. But at the same time, it's just, there never was any winners. And it just...
No, you're always dealing with oftentimes, in those capacities, you're dealing with the underbelly of humanity.
Right.
And you're seeing things that people aren't really meant to see. And you're seeing kids that are hurt, abused, families that are torn, and what have you. And that takes its toll. Mm-hmm. And I remember talking to a gentleman who retired from the fire service, and he was up there in rank, and he said after several months of retirement, all of a sudden he realized that a weight had been lifted off of him, because now he didn't have all those responsibilities that in law enforcement and when you're dealing with people's lives that you do have. Now, you have certainly responsibilities and pressures, but they're totally different. And you don't necessarily have to worry, other than we all do as civilians, you don't necessarily have to worry about someone pointing a gun at you and shooting you. And you don't have to worry about making a grave mistake if you have to deal with a hot situation and making a mistake that's going to haunt you the rest of your life. So do you feel that some of that pressure has been lifted?
Well, certainly that pressure has been lifted. And my son was very, happy when I retired, especially after Pat was killed. That was even hard for children of law enforcement officers to understand. And repeatedly says he can't wait for his dad to retire, and then he won't have to worry anymore because he's so young and innocent. He thinks like once his dad's retired, which that's a great way to,
and when they're young, that's
to
what
believe.
It should be.
Exactly. But I will tell you, I feel a lot of pressure because while I'm sharing my love for public service, and just because it's a criminal justice program, we have a lot of students who have no desire to become federal agents or law enforcement officers, which I completely respect and understand, but there is still so much of a calling for public service in a civilian capacity.
Right.
And so that being said, now it's Professor Kane or Ms. Kane, I'm just praying for that job when I get done. And I'm like, I am too for you, because it's hard. Thank goodness the economy is bouncing back. I think 5 years ago I would have been like, whoa, I don't know. But,
go to another state.
Yeah, but we are seeing employers hiring, which is nice.
Yes.
And I think we have a fantastic program. I mean, we really do prepare these students to be absolute professionals. And we have a pretty amazing faculty.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because as you know, I graduated from Madonna University with a bachelor's. Actually, both of my daughters graduated from Madonna University, not in criminal justice.
Yeah.
So they have a good reputation. They have a good school, and they have had for years. I was in this racket a little bit longer than you, and for years they've been involved in criminal justice and have had a good reputation at. But one thing that I thought was interesting, you had mentioned once before, that is now the largest program at Madonna University.
Well, it's actually not the largest, but it's one of the largest.
Okay.
I mean, you have to understand, just in the College of Social Sciences, which is what criminal justice is housed in, we have psychology, sociology, social work, criminal justice, and history, and addiction studies. Now, that being said, criminal justice is definitely the largest program. But Madonna I can boast for Madonna that they have an amazing nursing program.
Yes, they do.
And so the nursing program is by far our largest program over there.
One of our officers actually went through their program, John Trude,
Yep,
you know.
exactly.
So, yeah.
They have an excellent nursing program. We also have an amazing education program, for teachers. And they're actually bringing on a doctorate in education now. We already have a doctorate in nursing as well. And criminal justice is the third largest program. But, that's still pretty respectable.
Pretty big, yeah. Now, are you going to further your education as well?
Yes, I am.
Very good.
Yes, I'm actually contemplating right now. I'm definitely going to go back to school. I'm already scheduled to take the GRE, which I'm studying for right now. But I'm actually leaning toward law school. So it's either going to be a PhD or law school. Okay. But yes, I'm going to be going back as well.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Okay, when you go in you start the day, you're the boss. What is a day in the life of the chairperson at Madonna University?
You know, it's just probably like any other job where you're in a supervisory position and people want to check in with you and bring you up to date on things. But it's difficult. What I do find is, because I don't say no, is I find it difficult to make time for me in the office to get prepared for class. So I actually find myself working at home quite frequently. And I just had a bunch of research papers turned in, and my husband thinks I'm crazy because he's like 10 pages, which, okay, 10 pages isn't a lot, but I have 45 students who turned these in the last 2 days that now I need to start going through and vetting. And, you know, I mean, they worked all semester on these. They certainly deserve my complete attention.
Absolutely.
But so it's just a lot of time management that I'm still trying to learn how to figure it out. I always tell my husband, it's not a hard job, but it's a lot of responsibility. And every day I have things I didn't get accomplished the day before. But thank goodness they're not like emergencies.
Right.
Emergencies definitely can happen, can pop up, but certainly not, you know, on a daily basis like for you.
Now, when you go to work and you're obviously in a supervisor capacity, I'm assuming, and correct me, are all of your professors in the CJ program? Do they all come out of the criminal justice arena? Or have
Most
some
of them. Most of them do. I mean, yes.
Okay.
For the most part, yes. But I guess where I'm hesitant is I do have a gentleman who works for the, he's a parole officer for the Department of Corrections. So he never was actually a police officer. But that being said, he's still doing something within criminal justice. Exactly.
Still in the field.
And I have another gentleman who used to be an administrator for the Wayne County Jail, who now works for a private juvenile detention facility.
All right. Still in the area.
But still in the area.
Sure.
And then one of my full-time professors is a retired Wayne County prosecutor. Then he had a private practice prior to coming on board, and he teaches all of our law classes. So that's why I'm kind of leaning toward law school. I'm always going to, you know, be about public service. I'm always going to be about right and wrong and the law. And I think that's why I really would prefer to go to law school. We just have to see what happens. But that being said, this gentleman, when he retires, I like the credibility our program has. I mean, we're offering, you know, constitutional law, criminal law classes, American judicial process classes, and we're truly having someone with a Juris Doctorate teaching these classes. So again, I mean, and then the rest of the faculty is amazing. And chiefs of police, you know, the MCOL's director, the Michigan Association's Chiefs of Police Executive Director, and, you know, adjunct faculty, POAM attorney teaching our graduate classes. So we really do have some amazing people.
Well, now we only have a few seconds left, Tara. So as the chairperson for Madonna University's Criminal Justice Program, just very shortly, what would you like the people to know out there about the program and about coming to school at Madonna?
Well, I think Madonna, the greatest thing about Madonna, I mean, I shouldn't say the greatest, there's just so many great things. One of the greatest things about the school is you really can get an amazing education, but yet the student-to-instructor ratio, the average is about 11-1. Like the largest classes I even have are 35 students. And a lot of people who come to Madonna like that because they're either our traditional students right out of high school who aren't ready to go away to a big school, or we have a lot of non-traditional students who haven't been in the classroom for a long time. And it's very intimidating to come back to college after being years away.
Right.
And we just make success easy for students.
Well,
the support that's in place is just amazing.
Well, that was one of the things that attracted me to the school, and I can certainly vouch for the school itself. Like I say, both my daughters went there as well, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. So, and I know they're in good hands.
Oh, you're nice.
Well, listen, Tara, we have to do something that you're familiar with, and that's to remember a fallen officer, so don't run away. Folks, if you'll look on your screen, today we're going to remember Deputy Sheriff Earl C. Martindale of the Midland County Sheriff's Office, who was killed in the line of duty January 18th, 1935. And as I've said before, with all of these officers who have died many years ago, we are sorry, brother, that your heroics were lost in the fog of history and that you were forgotten. But I guarantee from this point forward, you will never be forgotten and you will always be remembered. Deputy Sheriff Martindale was shot and killed while attempting to arrest a burglar at a pool hall. The subject was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison. Deputy Martindale had served with Midland County for 10 years. He was still relatively young, only 40 years old. He was survived by his wife. So if you would, please remember this great American hero who left too soon. Deputy Sheriff Earl C. Martindale of the Midland County Sheriff's Office. We say, brother, you will never be forgotten. Your memory will be eternal. Folks, I would like to thank you once again for watching. And remember, tune us in anytime. And if you can't watch us on the telly, please go to civiccentertv.com. I would like to thank our guest, Tara Kane, the chairperson of the Criminal Justice Program at Madonna University. Thank you, Tara. It's always a pleasure seeing you. And folks, take care of yourself. Be safe. Remember, tomorrow is promised to no one. And we'll see you again on West Bloomfield 911.